Hello and welcome to the 5th edition of the QA show. I hope you had a great winter break and I'm really glad to see you back. I'm joined today by Canuck Soldier, but he will be a bit late. Are you here, Canuck?
I'm here now. Yep, ready to roll.
Great. I just wanted to do a quick rundown. Oh, Kodno is here as well. I just saw him pop in the channel. Hello, Kodno.
Hello.
I'll just do a quick rundown of the topics and then I think we should start. So first, I wanted to talk a bit about the formal challenge and why we introduced it. Then I guess we're gonna talk about the website a bit, and why we made it. We announced the GS tournament, the FFA tournament, which will start on the 30th of January, and I guess more and more people are starting to wonder what it is and how it will be run. The 2v2 tournament from the CVFR server is getting into the quarterfinals. We already had a quarterfinal being played between Tordet Sivoki and Liege Distoria. It was won by our boys there, and I think today the two Russian teams are going head to head. I'm not sure, but I did get a message by Deluxe earlier. I didn't have time to check it. Jack the Narrator is working on a CPL helper mod that will help a lot the hosts in the games being played. We're gonna talk a bit about the development later. And some statistics, if you can believe it, 58 PBC games that's played by Cloud Games are being played right now with an average of 6 players per game. That is amazing to me that there are so many players interested in this type of game. So let's get right to it and talk about the formal challenge. Why did we bring it back, boys?
So I can address this. Basically, my league back in the days when we used that system to report games had a formal challenge system. Fundamentally, something that wasn't specific to our league. They offered it to every gaming league that used my league. In that its system, when a player beat someone else, they jumped up, halfway up the rankings. So the only way in my league to actually pass someone if they were avoiding playing you would be a formal challenge, which you couldn't avoid. Basically, we don't want people getting to the top of the league or in the top 10 or whatever, and then not defending their ranking from challengers. For most people in we have 5,600 members on the league. About 800 play games in any given 2-week period. For most of us, formal challenges never enter into our daily life. It's really for the top of the top players, the elite players that are going for that number one spot, and they deserve to get their shot. So the formal challenge system is really tuned to a very small amount of players here, but we had to give them a mechanism where they could play the top players just above them in order to get those extra points. Because the way we use Glico 2 here now, and with Glico 2, it only really rewards you for playing people above you in skill. Yes, you'll still get small amounts of points for playing. Like you enter into an FFA, you're 300 points better than everyone else in the FFA. You win, you come first. You'll be lucky to get 4 to 6 points. The only way to truly move up, if you're say number 15 and you want to move up to number 3 or something, is to play the top players. So that's what the formal challenge system is about. It's about giving people in the top 25 the ability to challenge people above them to get a better result, assuming they win. If they lose, well, that's the chance you take. If they win, they get a significantly higher amount of points and allows them to move up.
We had some concerns earlier raised by Estes that if he's gonna lose against players that are really low in ranking, let's say someone challenges him right now and in the 2 weeks allowed for the challenge to actually go with it, he will lose so many points that it will make SDEath's point lose a lot. And I understand we did some calculations, and it's not actually true. He will lose normally because of his RD, right? Code, can you explain it?
Yeah, so basically, Esdeath has played so many games that he has a low RD, rating deviation. So the algorithm believes it knows what his skill is. If he were to lose to a player that's significantly lower than him, sure, he's going to lose points. He's going to lose more points than he would if he were to lose to someone that was close in rank with him. But it's not going to be like hundreds of points or some wild swing because they're just not going to, the algorithm's not going to say, oh, wow, I just really messed up on where I thought you were, because it has all this data and all this previous activity that it knows about, and it remembers that because of that low RD.
Yeah, fundamentally, one bad game or one good game, Glico considers that an anomaly. It will not freaking punish you hard for one game that's different from all your.
So you would have to lose actually more than 3, 4, 5 games in a row to actually get a bigger RD,
Yeah,
and then
you'd have to go on a winning streak or a losing streak in order to for the algorithm, as Coden stated, to now. What happens? You have a low RD, like 50 or below 50. If you go on a losing streak or winning streak, what Glico actually does is it increases that number. So you go from 50 to say 80 in your RD. Then your next game, after your RD has been increased, the formula, the algorithm will allow you a much larger increase from a single game.
and the same goes for winning as well. That's why some players are having trouble to go up in.
Yeah, it works for winning or losing. Either way, the same system applies with you. Some people complain that Glico is slotting you into a skill area, but in fact, that's the fact of life. That's the way it's designed. Once it figures out your skill based on your record of games against people and lowers your RD, yes, it's hard to break out, but you know what? You can break out. You just have to get better. You actually have to beat people better than you. Or conversely, if you start losing to people worse than you, it starts to think, hey, you're not as good as you thought you were. You have anything to add, Code?
No, I think you hit it right on the head. A lot of people think that because they lost their first couple games and they had a big downswing, that they're never going to get to where their true skill should be, because people tend to think they're better than they actually are. But Glico, it doesn't really matter what happens in your early games. um, it, as long as you play a good number of games, you will eventually be stuck where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, let's take the popular example here, Falcon. He reset his stats and then he won his first 3 games. It launched him back up to where he was. Some people think that it's an abuse. Well, if he can't stay there, if you can't beat those people there, then Glico will punish him and send him back down. If he does stay there and wins and wins and wins, then his RD will go down and then he will lock him in there. Either way, if he deserves to be top 5, then eventually he will earn his slot there and his RD will go down.
Yeah, I think he got something like 500 points for his first win, and then his next win was quite large in terms of points as well. And so he was able to hit D in just, I want to say, 2 or 3 games. And a lot of people think, well, that's not fair. But the fact of the matter is that he's beating people that Glico knows how their skill is. And so it knows relative to their skill where it should slot him in there. And because he won those first 2 or 3 games and continues to win, he will stay there. If it was not where he was supposed to be, then he still has an RD after those 2 or 3 games or 4 or 5 games. He will come down quite fast, almost as fast as he went up. So it is very accurate. We can see with the free for all leaderboard that it seems to be the most accurate system we've ever used. The trouble is that if you don't actually get better, you won't move up in the league standings.
Yeah, and the only weakness here is if you don't play regularly, Glico keeps your RD high and you could swing up and down. But if you only play once a month, well, that's just your playing schedule. Glico is never going to be able to lock in on you if you only play once.
On that note, we do have the first challenge being played tonight between Falcon and S-Death. He was very happy to actually get to challenge S-Death because, from what I understand, they were kind of not getting to see each other in games. Mostly because Falcon likes to play teamers a lot and S-Death doesn't. So they wanted to go head to head and find out who is the best man between them.
Yeah, literally, I think this is like a boxing prize fight, right? A lot of hype, some words back and forth. Um, it had to be we've had to very structure this game because they basically don't want no fighter wants the other fighter to have an advantage under the rules. So the staff has had to come in, hard code a lot of the settings, make sure everything's fair. At the end of the day, they're going to meet in the center of the ring, and it should be a fair fight. And at the end of the day, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, and egos may be hurt, but so be it. The truth will come out tonight.
So basically, when one player challenges another, what happens? They need to decide on the settings, the maps, the map types, or how many players, how big the map would be, right? And the other settings like maybe what bands and uh, what they should play.
Like most game settings, the management here, we don't micromanage people how they play games generally. And even with the formal challenge, we didn't set a default because whatever default we picked would not make some player base happy. So we generally leave it up to the players. So most formal challenges, and we're up to number 4 now, but one's been canceled. So there's going to be 3 play out. In most cases, the players come to an agreement on the game settings. However, in this particular case, given the strong personalities involved, the staff had to get involved and manage the settings ourselves, and that's built into the policy. Basically, at the 7-day mark of the 14-day time slot, if the players can't agree, the policy programs the staff to step in and decide for them what it's going to be and when it's going to be, and we do the talking back and forth with the players. And that was the case here because basically these are 2 top A-type prize fighter guys, and no one's going to give an inch, even in the game setup.
It will be actually a pleasure to watch them fight each other. I'm gonna spectate that game, and I hope I'm gonna get to watch an amazing game.
Yeah, I think this will get a lot of viewers as you're casting it, and it should be a very entertaining game for anyone who's not playing this app.
Do we need to talk about any any changes in policy we made in the last few weeks? I know we did some changes to the substitute. To the scrapping. Do we need to talk about that?
We can simply go over what we've changed. I think we did a PSA on it. I mean, basically, we were always reviewing our rules against the game meta that's being played. So we had changed the scrap rules several months ago. It became evident that maybe the turn zone for scrapping was too large, so we lowered it. So that basically, the problem is people being people, human dynamics. If they don't think they can win a game, scrapping is something they'll try and push for during the game. And we as the management, that's not a good thing for the league to have games scrapped. We want games completed. So we sort of have to deal with the human dynamics here that, we're the people at the end of the day setting the rules, and we're trying to create a framework that makes for fun, enjoyable, and competitive games here. So we kind of we've now taken the scrap rule, we've limited it more so that players can't just abuse the scrap rule to get rid of the game that they feel they can't win. I mean, that's the flip side of the other edge of the knife in a competitive environment. If people don't feel they can win, they want to get out of the game. Of course, we want games to complete in a fair manner, and this is how we're doing it.
Yeah, I do think, especially games that don't need to be scrapped because of technical reasons, shouldn't be scrapped and should be played out as much as possible to their conclusion.
Yeah, for sure. And there is a lot of players here, like even the remap rule. Players will ask for a remap simply because they feel that their start isn't overpowered. It's not great. It's not awesome. Well, that's not really the intent of the remap rule. The remap rule is about, man, I can't even get three cities down here. I mean, I'm stuck in ice and tundra. I'm on a peninsula blocked in by another civ. I can't possibly even do average here. That's the intent of the remap rule, not that I can't come first with this start. So we as the management here, we make rules to try and make the system fair for players, but fair for not just, we balance the rights of an individual player against the rights of all players in a game to have a fun game.
At the same time, I should mention it is up to the players to actually ask for a remap. It is not up to us. So let's say Devris is saying in the chat that we maybe should change the remap rule in just in teamers, so it would allow the three, well, not allow the three remaps because it's 2 hours wasted. I don't actually agree on that because it's up to the players to actually ask for a remap. If they actually don't have a bad spawn, why should they remap? That's still their choice to make another 20 minutes or 10 minutes to get into a new lobby.
For sure. And like, I played a game last night where a player asked for a remap, posted a screenshot, which at least was good because I've seen a lot of remap votes where they just ask for the vote out of nowhere and don't even bother want to post a screenshot. They're just hoping they can get a remap. This guy posted a screenshot anyway, had some desert. He wasn't Mally, but everyone said, I mean, it was kind of a bit of a split vote, but in the end, it was like 7-4. So it didn't pass, and he still ended up doing okay. So we want people to be able to remap when it's really deserving of a remap, and we give them that system. There are always players that will try and use whatever rules available to their advantage. So we set the box on the rules, and we lowered the remaps to like 2 remaps in the first 12 turns as a better system than it was previously.
At the same time, I understand Jack is working on a mod that should act as an in-game bot, which will actually respond to commands written in text chat. So let's say you want to instantly remap, you won't even need to exit the lobby, it will just remap automatically. If you want to IRL a player, it will just IRL him, start a vote, and it will be up to every player to cast their vote, and the bot will recognize that chat. It's something extremely new. I've never seen it before, and I think it would help us.
Yeah, Jack basically brought this up, and it's looking great if he can get this in-game mod working. But yeah, it's I'm looking at his post here: remap without relobbying, AI takeover prevented on disconnect. So that the AI doesn't move your units, change your pantheon. Stuff, really bad stuff like that causes relobbies right now. Trading limitations, friendship limitations. So a lot of the stuff that's in votes that we vote for, and then we demand the players manually do this, are going to be automatic. And even allow the host to unpause someone. That may have, maybe they're having a little bit of a bad day, they're acting a little unsportsmanlike, and they pause the game and refuse to unpause it. Right now, all we can do is kick them. This mod will allow the host to unpause someone else's pause. So there's a lot of good things that potentially can come out of this, and Jack is doing a great job on this file.
I'm actually very anxious to see the mod working and getting it out of beta. We see it being used by most of our players here. We're gonna see what happens then. As we know, we like to stress test things to their limits. On the issue of stress testing, we announced the civplayersleague.com website. It should serve as our main information and display hub, so we should display the latest information about our mods and their updates, our news and our policies, and of course the tournaments. We're still working on it, and everyone is welcome to put up suggestions about what kind of information they would need to be more structured. We, well, I've noticed that Discord is a lot of information, but at the same time, sometimes it is hard to read and hard to find. So I think this will be a way to get the information there at a quicker pace. We just need to know about what kind of information players do need to see on a daily basis or like on a weekly basis.
Yeah, we're definitely like I'm very happy with what you've done on the website. Discord, and I'm a big fan of Discord. However, it's a great service for playing games and a way of organizing games. Provides a lot of functions for us and our players to play the games. Voice chat, visual voice chat rooms where people can see who's playing, etc. It's much better than like I've been doing this for a while. Like originally back when I started doing this in like the Civ 2 days, we had the Microsoft Gaming Zone, which is kind of a Java chat thing. Civ 3 and Civ 4, we had GameSpy Arcade to chat in, and then Civ 4, Civ 5, and Civ 6, we had Steam groups, right? This is basically an evolution of that, and it's much better than say the Steam groups or GameSpy Arcade kind of chats, which were basically just open chats that you could organize a game, but there was no tools, right? We have all sorts of tools here. Roles that we assign gives people access to channels. Blah, blah. It's a very good way to manage Civ Players League's games here on a daily basis. The problem is it's not really good at delivering information. Using text channels as ways of delivering information here is not as good as old-fashioned web pages, forums, that kind of thing, which are static but deliver information well. Like here, we all go around in circles here as staff and players about the number of channels. There's too many channels to monitor, that kind of thing, and we try and manage that because it's a great way of presenting information here is great. But when you start putting 500 channels into this place, well, it's information overload. So a web page is a much better way of displaying a lot of that info to people rather than trying to make Discord into a web page, which it's not, and it's not really good at being a web page.
Yeah, it's a great tool. Discord is a great tool. That's what it is. It allows us to do this multiplayer community in a certain way, and I think we're doing a better and better job at it. We're not perfect, of course. I think there's always room for improvement.
Well, for sure, Discord is an awesome tool, but it's only one tool in the toolbox. So we need the web page to be another one of those tools. It's very good at being a PR tool to the rest of the civilization community, because a Discord link and you come here, it is a lot to see and a lot to take in, and probably overwhelms most casual friggin' Civ franchise players, right? Whereas a web page, oh boom, you do multiplayer, you've got games going on, you've got rules and tournaments, and it's all there in a way that doesn't overwhelm a new person coming and seeing what we do here.
Let's talk a bit about the GS tournament right now. I know we don't have that many details, but we could just give some some sneak peek preview. So it should be a free for all tournament. From what I understand, there should be at least 1 or 2 games per day for at least a period of 2 weeks. The games will be, of course, monitored by an admin or a moderator, and the first player that wins the games, the player that actually will get on the first slot, I mean, will get to go into the next games. This is a new tournament dynamic for us. We usually had the 4v4s, the 6v6, the challenges that we've done with the one city challenge, let's say, or the 2v2v2v2. I don't remember having a free for all tournament like this.
It has been a while since we've done a free for all tournament, but I think this will be a good format. Team tournaments are great, like the 2v2 CivFR one. However, when you're having to get a partner or several partners to go into a team game, it tends to be harder for players to organize that and rely on other players. But in an FFA tournament, it's you. Everyone can jump in no matter what your skill level is, and I think this will be a good thing. We're positioning it, in the dates so that we're hoping that this will be our major Gathering Storm event, and that sometime this spring and summer, Fire Access will announce another expansion pack, and this will be kind of like the end season tournament for Gathering Storm. I'm not saying that they are because I don't have any inside information. However, if you go by historical trends, sometime next year we should get another expansion pack. So hopefully this Gathering Storm FFA tournament that Von Holio is going to lead for us will make for a great easy tournament for people to jump into and a fun one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. We have the 2v2 tournament entering the quarterfinal stage. I've said that Tordred and Sivoki already played earlier, and we do have the loser bracket starting to be entering the sixth stage. From what I see, we're gonna have games between Deluxe Philip Bisbis and Gathering Hope with Hazagi. Carrier and Falcon, which are in the loser bracket now, will play against Red Phoenix and Checker. Honestly, even the loser bracket is starting to show up some really big names right now, playing against each other. It's gonna be some time. I think it's gonna be at least 3 more weeks until we're gonna see a final here. But I'm really anxious to see what will happen and how the games will go. This tournament brought to light some things that we were not used to, especially with the map types that they brought in. They had like an 8 map pool that changed between the stages, and we've seen games on Terra map, we've seen games on Archipelago, we're probably gonna see games on Primordial. Now in the best of threes, we're gonna see the players actually get to ban and choose the maps where they're gonna play on. These are all new map types for us, I mean, in CPL, just because most of the times players choose to go for Pangea or Fractal or Continents and Islands. I've noticed it's a new favorite, something like that. We've not seen so many go for this Terra map, which is kind of a weird one. Can we get some comments on that?
I'm not too. I haven't been following the CFR tournament too closely, but I think, they're a good long-term partner that we've had. They're affiliated with us. They've been around since the Civ 3 days. I think we probably got some things to learn. Like we consider ourselves like the center of gravity for international multiplayer, but that doesn't mean we can't learn new stuff from other sites. And we should be, learning from this tournament.
I do think they brought a lot of engagement between our two servers, actually. with more than 50 teams of 2 players from both sides, actually 3 sides. We've seen the Russians as well from the Russian server being brought together on this tournament. We've seen, actually, I didn't see any major problems except some maybe technical issues between them, but most of the time the players were really fun to play against or with. I've never heard of someone being or having a toxic behavior. I think most of the tournament has been a success here, and I do think we have good things to learn from.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the team players here like to play big team games, which are exciting, for sure. But it's almost impossible to put together like a 6v6 tournament because logistically that isn't really feasible. So this 2v2 tournament, I think that was a really good call on their part to make only small teams and basically, like the strong teams here. It's easy enough to get you and your other top player to try and make what you think is the A team, for this. Whereas doing that for 6 players would not be easy. So I think, yeah, we have something to learn from this tournament style and build.
I'm still hoping we're actually going to see a 6v6 tournament at some point. I base my hope on the fact that we are getting more and more players into this game. We're starting to see double team games being played in the peak hours of our server. So, I mean, 6v6 being 2 6v6 games being played. We did have a record break, right, a few weeks ago with 27 or 26 games being played all day.
Yeah. I guess it would be in the last week of most people's holidays. We had 26 games played in one day. Even this week, we're still keeping on top of 15 to 20 games a day. Even on the slow days, the Monday and Tuesday night sort of thing, we're still topping 15 games a day here. But you're right. There are more team games being played. It's a process because you got to be good at the game to really then be allowed into those large teamers because no one wants a weak link, right? So we have to increase our player base, feed them into the FFA system where they potentially get good at the game, experienced and good, and then they jump into teamers and learn how to apply their game skills into a team game and the way teams interact with each other to beat the other team into a team game, which is very much different. In an FFA, you're doing what's just best for you. In a team game, you may be doing something that's not good for you, but it's good for the team.
And you actually need to know how to do that, like countering culture victory, like getting the timings right, getting the let's say wonders against diplomatic victory, stuff like that the team needs to actually get a win there.
So to turn our, I'm going to say we have plus of 600 people playing FFAs. We've got to even increase that more so that I have to go and count to see how many people got in the team leaderboard, but it's like less than 50. So for us to do a 6v6 tournament here, we probably need the amount of core team players to double, to go from 50 to 100. That's my opinion on it. That would be kind of like the core requirement, where we do occasionally here now, even with the 50 team players, have more than one 6v6 happening at the same time in peak hours, like you said. To see that all the time, we really need to force generate more team players out of the FFA player base.
Well, let's see how that goes in the next few weeks. I've seen on Steam that there's a really big discount on the game, and I'm guessing that's one of the reasons we got an influx right now. It's almost at what, 70% discount?
Yep, they're doing another sale, and even Gathering Storms a year old. Civ 6 is now 3 years old. So hopefully we continue to get you know, myself and the rest of the team here, of course, we were engaged on social media, sales, Steam sales certainly help, and then getting our name out there in the wider Civilization community on a regular basis. I mean, we're always going to be a smaller part of the larger community because MP is a lot more difficult than beating up on the AI at home, right? So, and Civ is not StarCraft. It's not League of Legends. This is a long, complicated game that takes 4 to 6 hours in one sitting to play. um, so getting people into us out of the larger community, something we have to do. We are growing. We're growing a lot. We're healthy, um, but it's always going to be harder. We're never going to have 10,000 players like say a League of Legends server has. But that is the fact. Civilization 6 appeals to people that are a little more analytical, probably a little more mature, and but it's a smaller player base to draw from. That being said, you mentioned our play by cloud section here. That is drawing in a crowd as well. People that only have time to play a turn every couple of days. But we have 58 current games being played by cloud, and that's growing every day. So while most of us here come here for those real-time games, there's a bunch of players coming here to do slow MP in play by cloud. I know for a fact we also have some Fire Access employees here that are playing the game under assumed names, so I don't know who they are, but I do know that they've actually stated they're here and they're having a fun time.
Well, I do hope they will have a fun time from now on as well. And I do think the PBC games actually opened the door for the casual single player gamer to come in and try out multiplayer without too much pressure, especially or on time. I hope to see more of that.
It does build a bridge between the single player that's used to sitting there taking their time, taking all the time in the world they want to do their turn, and the real time MP games we play here. Which, yes, you're right, it's not for everyone. We have a dynamic turn timer that tries to give people enough time but the games are long, the pressure is there. People who jump right from single player games into playing here, some of them get overwhelmed, and this is hopefully a way of kind of introducing them into MP without the all the stress of playing real people right away in a real time game. You're making decisions, looking at cities, moving units. Let alone when you go to war and you got to manage your cities, the war, the units, blah blah blah. There's a lot to do for someone who's used to sitting there and doing a turn, every freaking 20 minutes.
Yeah, and get the time to think about what he wants to do. We've had some issues with that, especially with the dynamic turn timer, that it's really time expensive to think about everything, because you need to do your turns, you need to do your moves, and if you don't, especially now with the game mechanics, you're gonna lose the production. Let's say if you don't choose something in the city, you're gonna lose on the movement on the units if you don't queue them up.
Not to mention some people like to micromanage their city worker tiles, right? Every turn or every few turns. Hard to do that when you in a war. And yeah, we do prioritize. When you're in war, of course, moving your units, producing units. That's probably the two things you got to get done. But you don't want to miss out on changing city production, or optimizing a city if you can, or missing having the turn end and not having anything produced. And we know now that you only get one turn of production rollover, so you can't afford more than that.
Yeah, to be fair, I've noticed in the streams more and more players are using the queue from the production. So they queue 2 or 3 or 4 things at a time, so they don't need to spend that much time thinking about what they will do next or what they need from that particular city. And back on the note of the single player, I did notice, and I think it needs more attention. Code knows a little baby there. That's the CPL challenge that's going on every month. I think we need to get that more visibility. It's a single player type of challenge. You get, so let's say in this scenario, we got in January, we get Persia with an autosave that you get to download and you start playing it. And the challenge is to get as fast as you can to the culture victory. So players will get the same map, will get the same civilization, will get the same settings, and it will depend on their choices how fast they can make the culture victory happen. Can you talk a bit more about that, Koda?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Can you tell us more about the CPL challenge?
Yeah, so the CPL challenge is a single player version of basically how a free for all game settings would be set here in the multiplayer league. And so I kind of consider it a practice round for single player play. And it's on Deity. We generally choose Pangea unless it's like a naval civ, then we'll choose continents and island or perhaps archipelago to switch things up. And basically after it happens on the first of the month, I release a new save with a new civ with a new challenge. Sometimes it's culture victory, sometimes it's religion, sometimes it's a little bit different from what you would think. Like Gandhi is looking like it's going to be February's challenge, and we're probably going to do a domination victory with Gandhi. And then at the end of the month, we determine who finished the game in the least amount of turns, as people post their saves and what turn they finished on, and then we hold a vote for who the next civ should be for the next CPL challenge, which I alluded to with the Gandhi vote.
Oh, so it's not actually a decision made just by you. I thought you were setting this up. It's made by the community. Nice.
Yeah, so what people want to play, people who participate, what they want to play is what we end up putting together.
Very nice. What kind of participation you get in the CPL challenge?
I think right now people with the tag, it's about a dozen or so people, so it's not a huge number, but unique players, I want to say, is probably slightly less than that. So it doesn't have a lot of visibility on CPL. It's just there. When people find it, some people do really enjoy it. I see a lot of the same people playing month to month. And if I forget to post a CPL challenge on the first of every month, I hear about it in my PMs for sure.
But you're right, Michael. I think I probably need to advertise the monthly saves when they come out a little better, not just internally on Discord here, but to the wider community. I think the webpage can be used for that too. Put the new challenge up on the news, and hopefully we can widen our audience, because I think this is another bridge to the single player community. They come
Yeah,
here and they can play this and then figure out, hey, these settings aren't so bad.
yeah, it was kind of born out of a few things. So I'll give credit where credit's due. I used to play the Civ Forums Game of the Month and found that to be really fun, but we didn't have anything that really took into account our multiplayer settings. So I wanted to do it that way. And also, we occasionally get new people come to the community and they say, "Hey, is there anywhere where I can kind of practice with the BBG mod, or not dive right into a multiplayer game?" And so this sort of satisfies that hunger.
Yeah, I've played the Civ Fanatics game of the month in the past too, but it's very settings there are very single player, slow game centric kind of stuff. But the concept is very well enjoyed over there.
Yeah, and deity is no walk in the park either. A lot of people find that they are, attacked by their neighbor and it's Rome or something like that, and the AI just uh, puts out just tons of units and they have bonuses against you. And so sometimes you might be trying to do a culture victory and you don't want to war with anybody, but the AI has kind of screwed up your.
Yeah, for sure. It's the bonuses AI gets on deity are nothing. They may not be great at war, but you don't have to be great at war when you can spam friggin' 3 times as many units as you can.
Yep, and when you're trying to win this game in as little terms as possible, like last month, I played the game. That's another thing. You can replay any turn or the game as many times as you want. I replayed the game last month, which was Inca Science Victory, 3 times, I believe, and I got I was like 6 turns from beating the guy who won the challenge last month. And if you win the challenge, you get a nice little tag to go along with it, a little blue CPL or challenge champ is what it's called, tag on your profile here in Discord. And also, I'd just like to say thanks to Michael for putting it on the website. I think having the image that you put on there looks really good, the image of the starting location, and that really gets people excited about playing the game when they see that starting location.
I would actually go further and request the save files, the final save files from the players that won the challenge, and I would actually like to put some screenshots from their empire, some of their simming, some of their unique wonders they built to actually help their empire and display them.
Yes, so if you look so there's 2 channels associated with the CPL challenge. One is for displaying the challenge, getting the save file, looking at the screenshot of the starting position, you know, announcing who won last month and voting for the next month challenge. That's one channel. The other channel is what we call challenge chat, and that's where people can actually discuss how they won the game or troubles they're having, et cetera, et cetera. And we ask that people post their saves in that challenge chat room as well. So when someone wins the game, they post there, and you can easily grab what you need from there.
Oh, very nice, very nice. It came as a surprise for me actually. I noticed you talking about it at some point, but because it wasn't actually put out on let's say the general chat or the PSAs we were talking, and it didn't came up as a separate topic in our admin chat. It took me a bit by surprise because I've been here for at least 2 years in the community and I've never heard of it. And I was like, wait,
Yeah,
why?
I think it got some press when it first came out, and then it kind of just became a hard group core of fans. Um, I think the way most people have to find out about it now is they see that Carlbot is telling them that they can go to the assigned roles channel and assign their own roles, and there's a CPL challenge role there that they can assign themselves, and that I think the channels are open whether you have that tag or not. Like I think you can view them whether you have that tag or not, but it is there so that you can be tagged when there's a new challenge available, and also for other reasons that have to do with the challenge.
It's very good to know, and I do hope more and more single player players are gonna get into it, and maybe they will start their first steps in the multiplayer scene as well. Um, do we have anything else to cover today?
I think we've done a pretty good job here. I mean, the GS tournament, our new webpage. That's the major things that have happened since our last podcast. We continue to grow a number of games. We made a few changes to the rules that we've covered, and all I can say is for the CPL viewers out there, keep an eye on the At News channel because we don't keep things quiet here. We announce everything.
And I would just like to say, if you didn't mention it, Michael, the website is going to be accessible from many different URLs. I think we're going to transition it to cpl.gg. I believe that transition is complete and will be fully complete uh, by the end of the week.
Oh, that's very nice
That's a
actually.
good point. Yes. Right now it's sidplayersleagues.com, but we will have a variety of easier to type in URLs they'll auto direct be linked for. I won't go through the back end of how the internet works here, but it'll just make it easier for our players to hit up our.
Yes, and so right now it has been Civ Players League. That's not plural.com, and we're going to have Civ Players League.net. We're going to have Civ Players League.gg and CPL.gg for the easiest typing part.
Yeah, and we'll announce this in news once we know that they all work and get it out there to the community here, as well as on the webpage itself.
Very cool, very nice, very nice. I'm actually excited to see the next year of our community, and I do hope we will bring more value to the player. And we're always open to suggestions to hear about what we can improve in the lifetime of our players here.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that too. If anyone watching or watching this after it's on the YouTube channel, if you have suggestions of what you want on the web page, you want more stuff, whatever, put them forward, and we'll see what we can do. There's no limit to what we would like to do in terms of delivering good interactive experience on the web page.
Oh, there we have it. This has been the 5th edition of the QA show, and I do hope we're gonna see each other next time. Thank you for viewing us, and thank you for hearing our information. We'll see each other next time.
Have a great day, everyone.